So as I've said, I have, you know, no freaking clue what the hell happened to me. But last night, as I'm researching, I came across the term walk-in souls and braided souls. And I don't fall down rabbit holes much anymore. I only fell down rabbit holes whenever I went through my first phase of ascension, which was my first manic breakdown, as it was called, because I felt like I leveled up and I was overwhelmed because COVID was attacking everybody, and everybody's been attacked their whole lives. And when your third eye is blaring open, that's sixth dimensional shit. That's when you tap into angels. And I'm sitting here crying and terrified because I felt like God was under attack and that there were angels crying everywhere after this last election, because looks like the ultimate truth is we are all God's source, and I was not wrong. And I think there are a lot of angelic souls trapped here, thinking that they're trash. And a lot of them are on the right. I feel like that election really messed a lot of people up, and that was all I could feel. And yeah, I drove myself to the hospital and just told them that, I thought that God was under attack, and I feel like I leveled up, and like I'm having epiphanies, and boom, bipolar diagnosis, because these people know what the hell's going on. But I came across walk-in souls because I was down a Dolores Cannon kick. I was down a Dolores Cannon rabbit hole. And if you do not know who Dolores Cannon is, she's a fantastic place to start looking at spirituality. When you start looking at this stuff, you cannot believe how many people are talking about this shit. The spiritual community is huge, and they're being muffled. They're not being spoken about. For every one of these videos, there are non-stop comments of people talking about what the hell they've gone through. And when I first started going through this, I'm like, I don't know what the hell happened to me. I literally started talking about it instantly because I'm going, whatever the hell happened to me, if this is happening to other people, if this is something that could potentially happen to my children when they grow up, it feels to me like there are so many people going through stuff like I've been going through. I've seen these people on the front lines of mental health. This is why the mental health field is collapsing, because these doctors don't want to talk about this shit. They have no clue what's going on. And these mental patients are out here trying to get help because they're terrified, because they don't know what the hell is going on with them. And what is going on with them could be so many things spiritually. They keep saying mental diagnoses and disorders are caused by chemical imbalances in the brain. I think it's created by movies, these politicians, these religions, all of the gaslighting that is happening spiritually. People are being denied spiritual knowledge. They cannot balance their energies. and then they become screwed. And whenever I first went through this, I'm going, I don't know what the hell happened to me. Feels like I got raptured. Feels like I traded myself. Like it felt like my soul was just lifted up out of me, and like something came in. Like I was sitting there, thinking that like maybe I was freaking possessed. And a lot of these videos say like, sometimes people can like mistake a walk-in soul for a possession, but they're not the same thing. And a lot of people who have a walk-in soul thing happen, they don't even know that it happened, because it happens during a near-death experience. It happens when they're asleep. And this stuff happened to me while I was wide awake. And I'm going, I don't know what the fuck is going on, but apparently I had a freaking deal. I made an agreement a really long time ago. And it's with somebody named Elijah, because it's time to spiritually wake up. Everybody. And the only thing I can do at this point is point to all of this other information that I find. So hopefully I can help other people, hopefully. And, call for family councils. Because if you have somebody like me in your family who has any kind of a diagnosed mental disorder, or any kind of an unconventional spiritual in nature viewpoint now, and they're not your precious religious person anymore, well, that's because the great spiritual awakening is happening. There's religious people everywhere saying all these people are turning away from God, and it's part of the great deception. Most spiritual people, they are not turning away from God. They are turning within, and they are realizing that they are God. They are God source incarnate here. We are all eternal souls living temporary human experiences. And religious people do not like to hear that, and that's fine. They are not turning away from God. They're turning away from the distortions and the lies that this world has indoctrinated in them, and their programming has taught them. They're all programmed. Everybody's just a little computer. Everybody's programmed. All right, I'm going to click on a couple of these and look. Oh, yeah. We're living in a simulated reality. It's a freaking hologram based on consciousness. I went from 0 to 100,000 conscious-wise. Went from nothing to Christ conscious level pretty damn quick over this. Literally told people, I'm like, I literally feel like I died. I feel like I got blasted with energy that was so extreme that, like, I just fucking died. Like, I don't even know why I'm here. And I mean, it could be one of these walk-in soul things. And this shit is happening to people.
Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair.
The Home with Duncan is where you want to be.
Hi, I'm Ellie from crystallinks.com. Yesterday I talked about inserts in the hologram in the sense of archaeological and astronomical discoveries. Today I want to talk about inserts in the hologram in the sense of human embodiment. There are people out there who believe that they are walk-ins. What does this mean? How does it happen? It means that they believe that the soul that was in their physical body cease to exist either through an accident or an illness or something else that happened to them, and another soul or a higher frequency aspect of their soul has come into their body, and now they're a better person for it, and they're here to seek their spiritual purpose. The concept of walk-ins is ancient, and we go moving from ancient times to 1979 when author Ruth Montgomery wrote Strangers Among Us, and it just kind of rippled into other things where people would actually walk around who said, well, I'm a walk-in. And being a walk-in, what they meant, because this was ego, meant I am a higher spiritual being, not necessarily an ascended master, but I am here with higher spiritual purpose. The rotten bad part of me before that did detrimental things, that part is gone. I've had an illness, an accident, and now I have returned after a near-death experience, and now I am going to be this higher being. That's not exactly how I saw it, but I listened, and people wrote lists of, if you're a walk-in, this is what you should experience, this is what you should feel, this is what you will encounter, this is how you will disconnect from other people, etc., etc. I know I'm going back to the 70s, and this is basically more the 80s. Then along came an author called Scott. Okay, I have him here. I'm just looking at my website because he was here in my house. He talked about a concept. Scott Mandikar came to my house and he gave a lecture based on his book From Elsewhere. From Elsewhere describes how you feel your soul. It's not a walk-in, you haven't died, but your soul is not from this reality. You really don't belong here. You have come here on a specific mission, and you're going to return home, however, be it by a UFO, or you'll be picked up in a UFO, or you'll go through a portal or whatever. But it's clearly a knowing of, what the heck am I doing here? I don't belong in this reality. I'm from some other place. Now, the truth in that is that none of us are from here. We all come from a collective unconscious, higher frequency. None of us are actually physical beings. We're just spiritual or enlightened beings that have plummeted down to physical reality, and we're having an experience here. So to feel disconnected and think you're a wanderer or alien and get into the alien world and theories, or to feel that you're a walk-in because something happened to you and you're a better person. This is, you know me, I'm open to everything, whatever you believe, but really none of us really are from here. Now, my take on all of these people, and you have to look at physical, mental illness. There's something I used to call, when I studied in college, it was called personality disorder, multiple personality disorder. Now it's called dissociative identity disorder. That, you know what that means. That means there's a person who suddenly will be one person, one personality, live their life a certain way, and then suddenly they will divest off into another personality, and they will live that personality. Then they can go back to the original personality. Some people have 2 personalities, some 3, some 4. It generally comes from abuse in childhood. People who I studied this with said it's usually sexual abuse. It's the child's way of coping, so they may play the victim initially and then suddenly turn this around and be this aggressive person who could withstand the abuse that they had to. It's all part of this crazy package we call our reality. Now, to me, when you are one personality who becomes another, and I'm not talking about transgender, that's totally different. But when you are one personality who is another personality, I just feel your insert in the hologram has changed. Okay, so let's say you went from being not the nicest person, you were mean to others, really did some pretty nasty stuff, and then something happened. You had a high fever, you died, you had an out-of-body experience, whatever, and you came back different. It's just a different insert in the hologram through which your soul is experiencing. Okay? You have to look at it that way because that's really the truth of the matter and explains a lot. Yesterday, I also forgot to mention one thing. How many times, in terms of changing inserts of humans, how many times have you heard or been in an accident where a car has rolled, where things have happened, where you should be dead or you were dead for longer than a person can stand, and then suddenly you come back and you're fine. Maybe you have a scrape or a scratch or a broken bone or something, but basically you're intact. That means that your soul has probably left the body. It's a time travel mechanism where a new insert is put in. The original person has died, and now we have a new insert that has little bruises and probably very little memory of what happened during the time that they died in the out-of-body experience. My own favorite story about that is when I have 3 daughters. When my husband and I were young and our children were children, we went out on my friends Leslie and Larry's boat. They had a son. He took his friend, and we were all in Long Island Sound on a beautiful summer day and going through the water, and everyone's laughing, and Leslie and I were at the back of the boat, and the men were doing, this was a very big boat. It slept 6. And all of a sudden, somebody hit the anchor release button on the side that I was on. I believe that's starboard, okay? And the anchor, which was on a button, somebody leaned against it, came flying and went around and around, scraped my face, okay? They stopped the boat dead in the water. Of course, I went into that. You know what happens when you're in shock or something bad's going to happen. You take your soul out of your body. It's like, whoops, and you're gone. They call it shock. They call it many things. Out. I opened my eyes, and what seemed like a second later, the boat is stopped dead in the water. Everybody's crying. Everyone's upset. And I'm like, what? And I did see the anchor through my peripheral, but that's all I remember. And my friend Leslie had taken the anchor off. I think it went around twice. And they're just all staring at me. And the bottom line of that story, the moral is, there was absolutely nothing wrong with me. No rope burns, no scrapes, no scratches. I had witnesses who saw it all happen to me. So what happened to Ellie? Did she time travel? Was the insert changed? At that particular time, I knew what happened to me because I've always worked with time and I've always been aware. But how do you explain this to young children? How do you explain this to your husband? How do you explain this to anybody? And, needless to say, my friend sold the boat right after that, and they never got one with an anchor that you didn't crack. You know, whatever you do to put the anchor in the water, that's not automatic. And there was never anything wrong with me. I mean, so what happened to me? And I have a few other stories like this, but we'll just keep it to this one. What happened to Ellie? They kept her here in one piece, no marks, nothing wrong with me, nothing. And how did that happen? And it was probably that Ellie, that version of me, probably died. Time was stopped, and another insert was put, kaplunk, right into my body. Time was stopped for the people who were looking at me because they did not understand either what had gone on. So time is an illusion. Time makes us believe we're this and we're that and we're everything else. If you understand the movement of time and the inserts that are involved in time, there you go. For some of you, that's like, well, yeah, that makes sense. For others, you're skeptical. But when you always have people who witness events like this, and I'm not one who looks for danger. I will not go out walking or jogging in the middle of the night like some people. I'm always very cautious and careful. But things have happened. I mean, I was in an incident where a friend saw a car go right through me, came shooting down the block while her and I were walking across the street. It narrowly missed her, and she said, and people on the sidewalk saw it, went right through me. So obviously I'm supposed to be here, I guess, to do what I'm doing. But the bottom line is, it's not real. It's all fake, imaginary. It's all for your entertainment. With walk-ins, between Ruth Montgomery and other philosophies that go all the way back to the ancient Hindu and whatever, did one soul leave and another came in? It's the same thing. It's an insert that has been changed, and generally it's for a greater purpose. There is a reason. The soul that came...
have that car going through her. It's glitch in the matrix stuff. We're literally living in a freaking hologram based on consciousness. And then when you look at the comments, if you want to pause them and read them, that's great. People literally talk to each other in these comment sections, and they really tell their stories in these comment sections. And it's funny because you can call one person with a story like this crazy. It's freaking millions upon millions and millions and millions and millions of people who are experiencing these things, and it's part of this spiritual awakening. What other video I really liked? Yeah, they call it. There's soul transfers. I'm going to get this QHHT hypnotherapy. Yeah. They make religious people think that, like, being hypnotized is a sin. Yeah, it's because they don't want you to fucking realize that you're eternal. It's a shame. It's literally such a shame. We'll see this one. I think I saw this one.
Hello everyone, I want to do a video today on walk-ins. And the reason I want to do this video today is because many of us are walk-ins and we don't realize it. But let me preface this. There's no good, bad, right, wrong, right? So if you're a walk-in, great. If you're not a walk-in, great, right? We have this thing that we do as humans where we judge, we compare, we attach, we expect, right? So it's okay if you're not a walk-in. It's okay if you are a walk-in. It's just another aspect of this whole sort of human experience that we need to start to look at a little bit more. Because as we start walking into 2021, it's all about embodiment, right? Being completely in the body, meaning all of our light, our consciousness that chose to incarnate it into human form. It all needs to come down into the body now. We have many fragmented aspects out of our bodies because of trauma, because of past lives we may have had where it's sort of starting to leak out because we're tapping into that trauma, ancestral wounds may cause aspects of our light to sneak or seep out. Why does our consciousness want to leave? Because it's uncomfortable or restrictive. It feels claustrophobic. It feels unnatural, so to speak, right? There's many reasons why the consciousness that we are, call it a soul, a spirit, light, a galactic being, a hybrid, whatever name you want to give it. It doesn't matter the name. It's a light that has incarnated into a physical, dense form that experiences a lot of dense consciousness. And so there's many of us have fragmented aspects of our light out of our body. 2021 is all about bringing it all back in so that we can feel and remember that we are whole, that we are complete, that we are unconditional love, that we are good just the way we are, that we've got this, that this is why we are here. This is your purpose, your mission, your soul's contract, your work, regardless of what your work looks like. Expectations around that, but regardless of what it looks like, you are here for this now moment. So again, whether you're a walk-in or not, it doesn't matter. What matters is that embodiment is key for 2021. Bringing yourself all the way back in, pulling all the light that's separated, fragmented out, leaked out, back in, seal it in, and off you go to shift the entire human collective. But I want to talk about walk-ins. A walk-in is when you, let's just say it's you, you're a walk-in, your consciousness contracted to jump into a human body after the human body was birthed. So, meaning there was already a consciousness in the human body living its life, and you, a higher consciousness, chose to come in, and the consciousness that was in this body chose to leave. So it was like a tap out, like a passing the baton. I'm a walk-in, and I walked in at 6 years old. So Lori, that was in this physical body for the first 5.5, almost 6 years, is different than the Lori that is in now. And it was a contract that was made prior to the initial Lori dropping in and me coming in. But a walk-in contract can be made at any time during the human journey. Anytime during this human journey, the individual consciousness that's in that body can choose to bring in and to tap out and have a walk-in come in. The walk-in or that consciousness can choose, hey, do you want to switch, right? Things happen in a quantum field energetically that we, the mind, body, ego, personality can't understand. Okay? So again, a walk-in is a higher consciousness that chooses to incarnate into a human body that has already been alive, walking down the human path. It could be at 1 month, 2 months, 6 years, 10 years, 30 years, 45 years. There's no such thing as it only happens at a certain age. It can happen at any time. But you're jumping into a body that's already been around for a while, that's already received trauma, right? That already has limiting beliefs and behaviors and ancestral ties. And so it can be a massive shock to the system because you're literally walking in blind into something that you haven't been programmed or conditioned to be in. It's much more difficult to be a walk-in than it is to be born and move through the human journey because you get conditioned. You get programmed. You get used to it. A walk-in jumps right in and off you go. And it's very traumatic at times, depending upon what body you jumped into. So I was a walk-in at 6 years old. I had a QHHT, a quantum healing hypnosis therapy session, about 6.5 years ago. During that session, typically in QHHT sessions, you're going to go back into past lives. I went up to a ship. I didn't go to a past life. I went up to a Palladian ship, and I was hanging out there at 6 years old. And the woman that was facilitating my session, she says, "Where are you?" And I said, "I'm on a Palladian ship. I'm 6 years old. I'm just hanging out. I'm not doing anything. I'm just sitting." And she says, "Well, can we talk to the beings that are there?" And I said, "Sure." And so one of the beings started talking to the facilitator. And he said, he was a Palladian. He said, "She comes up all the time. She doesn't ever want to leave. And she doesn't talk. She just sits. And we just let her sit there. But we have to convince her to go back down." So when I was a walk-in, I came in at 6 years old. I came into Lori at 6 years old, and the Lori that was here left. It was a very traumatic time for Lori. Her parents had divorced. Her mom had moved back to California. She was with her dad. Her dad drank a lot. Her dad was, inappropriate in different ways. And there was a lot that Lori was going through, a broken family, just a lot of chaos in the house, just a lot of confusion, a lot of loss of control, etc., not feeling safe, whatever. So here comes me, the higher consciousness, dropping in. And it was like, holy cow. And so what happens? I don't embody. I stay on the ship as often as I can, right, on the etheric level. And so only a percentage of my light really embodied this physical form. Meaning a large percentage of my light, my consciousness, who I am, has been out of my body my whole life. It's been out of my body. So I'm always going back and forth, up and down, in and out. I want to be here. I don't want to be here. I want to be here. I don't want to be here. Numbing out, coming back in, numbing out, coming back in, right? How do I deal with this earth plane? How do I deal with this human journey? How do I deal? I had addictions, right? All kinds of different addictions. And I never felt like I was belonged here. I never really felt like I even wanted to be here. I always felt like I was observing, right? I was watching this whole thing play out. And so it wasn't until I had a session with Damian Wynn. And the reason I'm bringing this up right now, you guys, is because if you feel like you're a walk-in, Damian Wynn is doing a webinar next week, and I'll have all the details down below, but it's about bringing your light all the way back in and embodying it. I had a session with
soul retrieval. Everybody needs soul retrieval work, spiritual healing. And there's over 300 comments on this video. This totally resonates with me. 6 to 7 was when changes occurred. I mean, everybody's walking around going, what the fuck happened to me? You know, what in the hell are we all going through? I watched this one video where this one lady is like, seriously, like, every single person that has any kind of a bipolar diagnosis, dissociative identity disorder, schizophrenia, schizoaffective disorder, these people, it's spiritual. And then they're locking everybody away on antipsychotics that calcify their pituitary gland and entrap their pineal gland so that they have no way of elevating their consciousness. They're just going to stay stuck and scared. It's so messed up what is happening here. I have seen it. I'm part of it. I'm literally on the front lines of mental health and on the front lines of the spiritual community now, because what is the fucking difference? This is so sickening. And I mean, I've tried to talk about this stuff with my family. When I first started going through this, I started trying to show them spiritual videos. I started trying to show them videos of people having breakdowns. Literally, and I'm like, this is what I went through. Like, this isn't rock bottom. This is like, they say this is dark night of the soul stuff. I'm trying to show family members this shit, and it's, oh, those people are faking. And then I'm fucking flipping. Then I'm flipping. Flipped out. Like, who? No. These people are not fucking lying. Nobody is going to record themselves having a breakdown and put it online so that other people can hopefully get something from it, some help for themselves. And they're lying about it. Oh, pissed me off. And it's funny, as soon as you get a bipolar or an OCD or any kind of diagnosis, it's like, you're not even allowed to have feelings anymore. You're not even allowed to get upset anymore, because then you're just bipolar. It's a fucking shame. What is happening here? Aaron Dowdy got this little video here. It's a little long. And then, yeah, braided souls. Soul braiding. Soul braiding.
Little effort. Big smiles. Help yourself.
Hello, everyone.
When they talk about soul braiding, it's indigo 3 stuff. It's literally the same things that indigo 3s are talking about, but indigo 3s are more specific. And so many people are walking around here with soul braids and soul contracts out the ass.
I'm Angelica Grace Solai, and I work with star seeds and light workers, incorporating their light language into their daily lives and healing practices. I received a question about walk-ins from a couple different people yesterday. So one online, someone asked me to talk more about walk-ins, and then someone also contacted me. So I decided that was a sign to create a video on the topic of walk-ins. This video is going to be very short in explanation compared to like the depth that we could actually go into regarding this topic. There's still, I feel, so much to be discovered, both for myself, but as an entire like body of knowledge around this topic of star seeds. So generally, I will share what I've learned, and hopefully it will help you. So what is a walk-in soul?
Actually, this video is getting so long and it's going to take 2 days to upload. A lot of information out there. If you want to look it up, have fun. This video is 35 minutes long already. But, Dolores Cannon has 17 books out there talking about all of this stuff. And it sucks because it's bad enough that religious communities have been tearing each other apart for forever and having pissing matches on who's God's right. But now that there's a spiritual awakening going on, the religious communities aren't content with attacking each other anymore. They're attacking people like this. They're attacking people like Teal Swan and calling Teal Swan a cult leader. All of these people who have differing opinions, they're now cult leaders because they're into spirituality or they're witches. Pastor Greg Locke out there looking like a psycho. Crystalia has a hilarious video laughing at him because he's calling out members of his congregation, calling them witches because they burn sage. Are you fucking kidding me? It's absolutely unreal. These are all people who are part of the 144 prophesied, 144,000 people. They're freaking starseeds and light workers. We're all out here trying to help and getting called crazy and getting called all kinds of names. It's really messed up. A lot of information out there.